Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Top 10 Biggest Mega Projects in Europe. So this is exciting. I can't wait to find out. So let's check it out and comment, like and subscribe.
From the largest offshore wind farm the world has ever seen to a deeply controversial canal that threatens the political stability in the Black Sea, these are the top 10 megaprojects in Europe. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. More on that later. We start off with number 10, the Stad Ship Tunnel. $272 million.
That's a lot of money.
Over in the rocky coasts of Norway lies a patch of sea feared by many sailors. Considered as the convergence of the North Sea and the Norwegian Sea, the Stadhavet Sea is one of the busiest maritime routes in the country. Historically, this area has been known to be one of the most dangerous waters along the coast, with unpredictable winds and weather conditions. It has been documented by historians that even the Vikings would choose to drag their boats across land instead of sailing through these waters.
Oh my God.
To make traversing this area safer, the Norwegian Coastal Administration drafted plans to create what would become the world's first full-size ship tunnel. The Stad Ship Tunnel would completely bypass the dangerous Stadhavet Sea and cut right through the Stad Peninsula, reducing travel times by up to 2 hours.
That's crazy.
It will be able to accommodate as many as 120 ships a day. Once completed, the Stad Ship Tunnel will be the first of its kind in the world, allowing for the passage of full-size oil tankers and cruise ships.
That's huge.
In 2021, the project got approval from the Norwegian government, with a budget of more than $272 million US. Construction on the Stad Ship Tunnel is expected to begin sometime in 2024 and is estimated to be completed by 2026.
Wow.
Number 9, Frankfurt International Airport Expansion Project, $5.7 billion.
Billions?
Frankfurt International Airport is by far Germany's largest and busiest airport, serving as many as 70 million passengers each year. As well as being the busiest passenger airport in the country, Frankfurt International is also Europe's busiest cargo hub, handling more than 2 million tons of shipments just last year alone. Because of its importance as a major European transport hub and the ever-growing number of passengers each year, a $5.7 billion expansion project was initiated back in 2005 to improve the airport's facilities and increase the airport's passenger and cargo capacity.
So much money!
One of these projects was the expansion of the airport's oldest terminal that extended the structure's length by 800 meters, allowing for a total of 7 new wide-body aircraft stands. This expansion alone increased the airport's capacity by more than 6 million passengers each year when it was completed in 2012. Another project that drastically changed the airport's layout was the creation of a new 2.8-kilometer runway in 2011 that ran from west to east. With this new runway, simultaneous landings were now possible, which significantly increased the amount of aircrafts the airport could handle.
That seems like a nightmare to navigate, as in like for the air traffic controllers.
Finally, in 2015, construction on a brand new third terminal in a plot of land south of the runways began. The area used to be the site of a US airbase, but was reclaimed by the airport when the base closed down in 2005. The new Terminal 3 is expected to increase the airport's capacity by as much as 19 million passengers annually and cost more than $1.1 billion to construct. Because of the delays brought by the COVID-19 pandemic, the new terminal is now expected to open sometime in 2026. Number 8, Istanbul Canal, $10 to $15 billion.
Oh my God.
Situated at the crossroads between Europe and Asia, the city of Istanbul in Turkey is located at one of the most strategic locations in the world. The city itself is built on either side of the critical Bosphorus Strait that connects the Black Sea to the Mediterranean and to the rest of the world's oceans. This natural waterway on its own sees more ships pass through it compared to the Panama and Suez canals combined. However, despite being completely within Turkish borders, Turkey actually doesn't benefit from the strait financially. This is because of an international treaty that Turkey signed called the Montreux Convention that regulates its use. The agreement ensured Turkey's neutrality during World War II by heavily restricting the access of warships in the strait, and it also guaranteed free access to all civilian vessels. As one of the world's busiest shipping routes, the strait is oftentimes congested to the point wherein ships usually have to wait days just to pass through it. To minimize the shipping traffic, the Turkish government is planning to construct the Istanbul Canal, an artificial waterway that would cut right through the European side of Istanbul, effectively turning it into an island. The new canal would be 45 kilometers long and is estimated to cost the Turkish government as much as $15 billion.
So much money.
It began construction in 2021 and is expected to take 7 years to complete. This new waterway would completely bypass the Bosphorus, and some experts even argue the Montreux Convention itself. With this, Turkish allies such as the United States could, in theory, be given access to the Black Sea and send warships just outside of Russia's borders. Turkey would also be able to charge vessels that pass through it, hoping for the project to pay for itself over the next few years.
Eventually.
Number 7. Hornsea 3 and 4, $19.2 billion.
Oh my god.
As you probably already noticed, we're using an amazing 3D size comparison animation for this video. Our partners from To The Top helped us with this. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to their channel. But now we continue with Hornsea 3 and 4. When it comes to offshore wind power, the United Kingdom is the second largest producer in the world, only behind China. In fact, 4 out of the 5 largest offshore wind farms in the entire world are all located within the country. Most notable of the 4 are the Hornsea Project 1 and 2 wind farms, which are both the second and first largest in the world respectively. Hornsea 1 and 2 are both located in the North Sea, 80 kilometers east off the English coast. Together, these 2 wind farms generate a total of 2.7 gigawatts of power, enough to serve as many as 3 million UK homes. The wind farm will also take up an area of 870 square kilometers, which is roughly half the area of the City of London. However, despite the immense scale of the country's offshore wind farms, amounting to as much as 14 gigawatts of total generation, they are still a long way from their goal of reaching a combined capacity of 50 gigawatts by 2030. Because of this, newer and bigger offshore wind farms are currently being planned to be built in the country. Hornsea 3 is one of these wind farms currently under construction and is expected to be finished by 2027. The project is planned to be built east of Hornsea 1, over an area of 700 square kilometers.
It's bigger.
Once complete, Hornsea 3 is expected to generate 2.8 gigawatts of power through 230 individual wind turbines, even more power than Hornsea 1 and 2 combined. Finally, Hornsea 4 is currently in its planning stage and will cover an area of 600 square kilometers northwest of Hornsea 1. The project is expected to start construction in 2023 and aims to be operational by the year 2027.
That's crazy.
Number 6. Energy Islands of Denmark, $30 billion. Continuing with the topic of offshore wind farms, Denmark is no stranger when it comes to this technology. The world's first ever offshore wind farm was actually built in the country way back in 1991 and served as a catalyst for the further development of the technology. Today, wind power accounts for almost half of Denmark's energy production, the highest percentage in the world.
That's crazy.
As part of their goal to further develop its sources of clean and renewable energy, the Danish government is planning to undergo the largest construction project in the entire country's history. By 2030, Denmark aims to build the world's first ever energy islands, which will connect massive offshore wind farms to Denmark and neighboring countries. Denmark's energy islands will consist of 2 large-scale offshore wind farms located in the North and Baltic Seas. An artificial island will be created in the North Sea section to act as a central hub for the area, and once completed, would have a capacity of up to 10 gigawatts, enough to serve 10 million European households. The island of Bornholm in the Baltic will serve as the second hub and have a capacity of 3 gigawatts.
But it's not built yet?
Once completed, the energy islands would increase Denmark's wind energy capacity by as much as 7-fold. Construction on the project is expected to begin as early as 2024. Number 5. European Route E39, $30.6 billion.
Is that a road?
Because of Norway's coastal geography being extremely rocky, mountainous, and separated by thousands of tiny islands, it has always been difficult to navigate. The European Route E39 tries to solve this very problem by providing an easy-to-traverse path along the Norwegian coast. But even with the E39 in place, the 1,300-kilometer-long route still does not solve the problem of creating a continuous path along the entire Norwegian coast. This is because the E39, despite being designated as a single highway, is actually composed of many different sections across vast stretches of water. Driving through the entire route would require travelers to board 7 different ferry connections and would take at least an entire day. However, this is all about to change as the Norwegian government is planning to cut the 20+ hours of travel time in half. They plan to achieve this by completely eliminating all the required ferry connections. This will be done through a series of tunnels and bridges that would bypass the water crossings along the route, essentially creating a continuous path. One vital part of this upgrade to the E39 is the Rogfast sub-sea tunnel, which would connect the city of Stavanger and Boken in Norway under a 15-kilometer stretch of water. If completed, the tunnel would become the world's longest and deepest road tunnel, with a length of 27 kilometers and a depth of almost 400 meters below the surface. Work on the tunnel began back in 2018, and it is currently expected to open in 2033.
Oh my god, 33?
Also calls for the creation of 4 individual floating highways that would carry the E39 across some of Norway's largest and most breathtaking fjords. One of these planned bridges would go over the Bjornafjorden and span a total of 5 kilometers above the water. Once completed, this floating bridge would become the longest in the world, more than doubling the current record.
Oh my god.
Number 4. Grand Paris Express, $38 billion. The Paris Metro is one of the busiest metro systems in the entire world, seeing as much as 4 million passengers each day. Being one of the most visited cities in the world, Paris suffers from the worst traffic congestion in Europe. To combat this worsening problem, it has been a top priority for the city government to build infrastructure that would facilitate the millions of commuters that pass through Paris every day.
Of course.
One major project that is aimed to combat Paris' worsening traffic is the Grand Paris Express, the largest transport project in the city, which aims to further increase the reach and connectivity of the Paris Metro. The project calls for the creation of 4 entirely new lines and the extension of 2 existing ones.
That looks crazy.
In total, the Grand Paris Express is expected to create 200 kilometers of new tracks, along with 68 new stations capable of serving an additional 2 million passengers daily.
68 stations, that's
Construction
crazy.
of the new lines began back in 2015 and is currently being constructed in phases up to the year 2030. Before we get to the top 3 biggest mega projects in Europe, we want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. With Squarespace, you can create your own beautiful website in a super easy way. We actually built our own top luxury website by using their fully customizable templates and their simple drag and drop fluid engine. The process is super easy, and it only takes a couple of hours. But Squarespace offers more than their simple website builder. You can easily connect third-party extensions or use their powerful built-in tools. For example, we're using the blogging tool, which allows us to automatically schedule articles about new mega projects. So whenever we upload a YouTube video, we can also share it as an article on our website. And their website analytics tool gives us powerful insights about who is visiting our website and how they're interacting with our content. If you want to get started, you can head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/topluxury to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Now, let's continue with number 3, Hinkley Point C Nuclear Power Station, $47 billion. Nuclear power plants are notoriously known to be very expensive to build and extremely costly to decommission. However, if managed properly, their benefits can far outweigh their initial costs. So when the Hinkley Point C nuclear power station in the United Kingdom was first proposed in 2010, it was met with mixed opinions from the British people. But with substantial financial backing from both French and British energy companies, everything was looking quite well for the new plant.
Oh, it's a combination.
Hinkley Point C is part of a new generation of nuclear power plants that are meant to replace the country's old, costly, and inefficient plants. The project was initially slated to complete in the early 2020s and have a total capacity of 3.2 gigawatts, enough to supply 7% of the entire country's energy needs. However, the construction was unfortunately met with multiple delays that pushed its completion date by 8 years and saw its cost balloon to more than double the initial estimates. For one of Hinkley Point C's financial backers withdrew from the project back in 2013 amidst rising construction costs caused by the 2011 Fukushima disaster.
Of course.
The COVID-19 pandemic further exacerbated the already delayed project with supply chain complications and cutting down on people working on the site.
What a
Today,
nightmare.
the project is still under construction and is now estimated to cost as much as $47 billion, more than twice its initial price tag, with the completion date being pushed back to as far as 2028.
Okay, not that bad.
High Speed 2, $132 billion.
In England. Well,
when the high-speed train connection between London and the Channel Tunnel opened in 2007, it was met with huge success.
Yeah.
Constructed on time and under budget, High Speed 1 managed to significantly reduce the travel time between London and Paris. Because of its unprecedented success, the British government looked to create a second high-speed line that would connect the British capital to major city centers to its north. So, in 2009, the Department for Transportation started to draw up plans for a second high-speed train line, which would aptly be called High Speed 2. High Speed 2's construction will be done in two phases, one going from London to Birmingham, and another from Birmingham to Manchester and the East Midlands Parkway. As of 2020, the estimated budget for the entire project is known to go for as much as $132 billion.
Jesus,
and will
that's so
become
much
the
money.
biggest transport investment program in the country in over a century. Construction work on the new high-speed line started back in 2020 with the creation of viaducts and tunnels that would carry the line over and under different terrain.
This is
The project
incredible.
is estimated to be completed sometime in the early 2030s.
Sometime in the 2030s.
Trans-European Transport Network, $625 billion.
Okay, what is
The
this?
European Union is known for its vast and interconnected web of roads, railways, and airports that make it extremely easy for people to go in and out of different countries. In fact, 27 European countries are all part of what is called the Schengen area.
Yeah.
Travel between countries within this area is largely free of border controls
Correct.
and functions as a single jurisdiction, all covered under a single visa policy. As part of an effort to further connect European nations and make travel easier, the EU drafted plans to create what is essentially an all-encompassing transport network across the entire continent. The Trans-European Transport Network is a long-term project that will consist of roads, railways, airports, seaports, and telecommunications infrastructure that would solidify the EU as a single interconnected entity. The entire project will be divided into 9 different sections called core network corridors that would cover all major population centers across Europe. The entire project is estimated to cost as much as $625 billion and is envisioned to be completed by 2050. One notable part of this ambitious vision is the Fehmarnbelt Tunnel, which will connect the German island of Fehmarn to Lolland in Denmark. The project started back in 2021, and once completed in 2029, it would become the world's longest road and rail tunnel.
10 years.
This vital piece of infrastructure would drastically reduce the travel time between the Danish capital of Copenhagen to the German city of Hamburg and the rest of continental Europe. Another interesting part of the project is the Mont-Cenis-based tunnel, which will cross the Alps and connect Italy and France through high-speed rail. It's meant to bring together both countries' rail networks for easier trade and travel.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
At a length of 58 kilometers, the Mont-Cenis-based tunnel is set to become the world's longest rail tunnel once it's completed sometime in 2030. Which of these projects are you the most excited to see? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to see more about similar projects, you should watch our video about the top 10 megaprojects in the USA. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Okay, this was incredible. I was not like, it got more impressive as it went on, which was crazy because it was already like quite crazy. Like in the earlier, like the first projects, it was like, wow, that's crazy, like so much money and such an incredible sort of like feat of engineering and corporation and whatever. And then it just went on and on and on to the point where I'm like, oh my God, this is insane and crazy. I mean, obviously, I get it. Like, my favorite one is the number one, of course. Like, how could I not? It's such an ambitious project that it's like, it's 2050, which is crazy to think of. It's like, who even knows, like, if we're gonna be here? Like, in that, like, again, it's like such a far away year. I don't know. Like, it's very, like, I don't know. To me, it's like, I can't even imagine 2050. It's crazy. But if, obviously we're thinking positively, yes, we're all going to be here, and we're all going to be seeing this. I don't even know, like, opening? I don't think it's an opening, because it's not like, oh, it's being inaugurated. Not really, because it's in phases, right? So if it's in phases, then, like they said, like one of those, like, tunnels, like the Turin to, I think it was Lyon, tunnel, like it's gonna be probably finished by like the 2030s, and I think the Denmark and Germany one, I think also is like 2029, around that time period. Even then, I'm like, that's really far away, which I know that if both you're an engineer or a worker in this sort of projects, you're thinking it's not that long. Like because you're thinking I have to work this, and I have to do this, and you're thinking, wow, like we're probably like making good time, but still, it's right around the corner. Like if you think, oh, 2030, if you're a worker, you're probably thinking it's not that far because I have so much to do. But as in like, the perspective of an outsider, it's like, wow, that's kind of like long. It's like it's still a bunch of years. It's like I can't even imagine 2030. But I again, it's very nebulous in my brain. But I can see like I'm not saying like, oh, it's gonna take forever. No, I understand. Those are huge projects. Of course, they're gonna take forever. It's not something that really like you wake up one day and go like, oh yeah, I'm gonna build this and I'm gonna have it done in 2 years. No, it's impossible. Like it's not magic. Like it's for real. So it's like those huge projects that take, I don't know, like 10 years. I mean, that one, like the 2030 one, the 2050 one, it's crazy just because of the sheer, like, I can't remember like when exactly they decided to sort of like do this, when the project actually like started. But by the time it's done, I think it's going to be what, like around 20 or 30 years, which is crazy. But for the amount of like the sheer amount of things that they have to build, it's like, okay, well, I guess it's okay because there's like so many things you have to do. It's crazy. I mean, the amount of, again, the cooperation between countries, governments, workers, laws, like I can't even imagine like what a nightmare situation would be to actually coordinate all of those things, not actually work in one of those things, because well, what an incredible, like, feat's gonna be incredible to know that you were a part of this and you were actually, I helped build this, which of course incredible. But I'm talking like the bureaucracy of it all, like what a nightmare it must be for everyone involved in this, of like coordinate everything, because it was like trains. So you have to build like they say, you have to build tunnels. You have to build, I think maybe like they have to make like, I don't know, some sort of like adjustments in like the airports. I think it was also like maybe buses as well. Like it's gonna take forever. Even telecommunications, like making towers or something. I don't know, but it's gonna be again a huge nightmare. I would love to speak with one of the some of the guys someone in charge of this, because I'm guessing it's gonna be like a board or something. I don't know how actually it works. Do you have each country has like a representative or two, and you sort of like coordinate with them, and again, it's just like a logistical nightmare to me. I can't even imagine how it is, and it's a feat that if they actually, well, they're making good time, like it's being, like a lot of things are being built. But I hope they finish by 2050, and again, hopefully we're gonna be here, because it's gonna be like a crazy situation. But I would love to speak to one of the people that are working in that capacity in this sort of like logistical sort of like thing, because I'm like, oh my god, I would love to ask you, because it's like so many, just the laws, like, because obviously each country has like different laws, and it's gonna be crazy. And again, the bureaucracy, nightmare situation. But again, the whole thing looks incredible, and I can't wait to actually, oh my god, it's gonna be an insane thing. Probably one of the, by the time it's done, it's probably going to be added to like one of those like the wonders of the world, because it's what's going to be like a huge feat of engineering. And I can't even imagine the amount of people that have worked there, like by the time this is done and the whole project's completed, like how many people would have worked there, like millions probably. It's going to be crazy. So it's like, to me, that's probably the most impressive, just because of like the sheer like craziness of it all. Just as like, again, they'll call you a madman. Yes, they'll definitely call you a madman if you sort of like propose this. But I'm glad to see like, no, they're actually doing it, which is crazy. The other one that I actually really did like, even though I'm like, I don't know, I would love to visit it once it's done. The Norwegian one, I don't know why. I think maybe it's because like they sold me on the it was underground, not underwater, underground tunnel, and apparently like they were gonna have like an aerial bridge that is gonna go through the fjords, and I don't know, like the way they sold this to me, I'm like, okay, I can't wait till this is done, and I would love to visit it. Not just, obviously, again, it's a wonder of engineering. Yes, of course, they're making like these tunnels, but the fact that I would love to visit, as in actually I would like to drive one of those, a car in one of those like tunnels. How is it gonna be? I would love to do. I think it was the E39. No, I can't remember. But whatever. I would love to visit it because again, it's just gonna be like, oh my god, imagine just like you're driving in this water and you're thinking, oh my god, what's gonna happen? It's like it's an underground tunnel and you're gonna have like the water surrounding you. I don't know, it looks crazy and I would love to see it actually finished because I think it's still like they're still working on it, but I would love to visit it and see like how it is. It's gonna be what a wonderful sort of like spot vacation. I don't know, so it's vacation, yeah, sure, it's a trip. I would love to actually go to the whole and do the whole like the whole route. Like yes, I'm doing the whole, I can't remember how many kilometers it were, but I think it was like 10 hours, which I think seems feasible, something you can do on vacation. Like, oh yeah, I'm taking like one day off my vacation to actually do this, and you know, you stay overnight and then you like do the whole way back. Seems incredible. I would love to visit. I would love to drive there. I would love to see how it is when it's done. So I think that's the one that I'm like, oh, that was my second favorite, just because of like, I want to see the tunnel. That's my number one thing. I want to see like the underground tunnel. You know, it's because it's gonna be like surrounded by sea. I don't know. Like I'm imagining something very futuristic, which I don't know if it's possible or feasible. Again, and I don't really know if that's how things are done in you know in the modern, you know, right now. But I want to know. I'm so curious. I would love to visit that one. And of course, the others were incredible. I still didn't know. Like I think the one that made me like a little bummed out was the one with the nuclear like power station. I didn't know that I mean, I guess I always know nuclear power is a thing, but I thought, I don't know why I thought they were trying to phase that out. Like maybe because again, it's probably, it's fresh on my mind. Like, oh yes, you know, you have like nuclear power plants, like disasters. So I think like they were maybe like phasing those out, but apparently I was wrong. And no, they're actively being built. Like, no, it's a thing of like developed countries, like still like are putting money and effort into this. I would think like they were moving towards something like the wind power plants, but I think in the UK that has, I think, the most number of projects in this ranking, they were like, yes, we're doing everything. We're doing wind power because we have like the farms, and we also have this. So we have nuclear power and the wind farms, which I'm surprised about, especially them in Denmark, because I was expecting them to be like, oh, it's in the Netherlands that has like the whole, yes, we're into like wind powers and windmills in general, but no, maybe it's just because the Netherlands is like a smaller country, and that's why it doesn't really get into like these rankings, because obviously their farms are going to be smaller because their population is smaller. But at some point, if a country like Denmark or the UK, which obviously it's bigger and has more population than Denmark or the Netherlands, does this, of course they're going to have like, we're going to need like, I don't know, seven wind farms in order to actually supply the energy that we need to cover like all the population. And even then, they're still doing the nuclear plant, because it's like, it's still not enough. So it's kind of crazy, and I would love to, I think I want to read up on like the nuclear power situation, because it's like, I thought it was bad for the environment as well, or it was bad for, I don't know, accidents in general, but no. So obviously I was wrong, and I want to look more into it. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!